When's the last time they taught you about gold in school? Yet all of these people, they get hard assets. They make sure their assets are protected against economic collapses and all this nonsense. But they're literally built the school system to build employees. They built the school system to protect the rich. And so when some people say there's a conspiracy out there to keep the rich rich, I kind of actually agree.
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
What's up, you crazy fighting entrepreneurs? Welcome back to another podcast episode of The Fighting Entrepreneur. This is your favorite person in the world, Anik Singal, and I'm here with a TLDL episode because you were too lazy and didn't listen, or maybe you listened and now you just want to recap. That's the kind of person I like. All right, so I had an amazing interview with Robert Kiyosaki. I got to fly up to Arizona. Every single time I get to hang out with him, it is always awesome, always very educational, and always a little bit frightening. Yes, doom and gloom, the world's coming to an end, you will be bankrupt, the economy will collapse, we will all be on the streets trading $1,000 for a loaf of bread. You know what's funny? When I say that, you think, that sounds ridiculous, Anik. That's stupid. It's conspiracy theory nonsense that people want you to buy into so they can sell you stuff. Except there are countries, like right now, I think, Joe, what is it, Venezuela? Yeah. That there's countries like Venezuela. Like this is, and it's not just Venezuela. It's happened in many countries, in Europe, in South America, in Africa. It's, I think there's been even countries in Asia in the last recent history that this kind of stuff has happened in. And so we're not that far away from it. And when Robert talks about it, it just makes you go, oh my God, this is a hard reality. I need to change the way I manage my money, the way I earn my money, the way I save my money, the way I look at money, and the way I look at absolutely everything in the world. And how little should I be really trusting the government? You know, as entrepreneurs and me as an entrepreneur, you already know how little I do trust the current government. Do I think the government could get to a place where it would be a little bit more trustable? Absolutely. But not in the current setup that it is, because, well, they're more busy fighting each other than they are serving us, and that is going to blindside us. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the book Fake is about by Robert Kiyosaki. And so let's just do kind of fake. What does he go over? Fake money, fake assets, fake teachers. That's like the three bulk messages that he's got. Fake money, we'll talk about in a second, like what I learned from him. It's so true and it's so frightening. Fake assets, and then fake teachers. That was the one where I was like, yikes, that's kind of true. All right, so let's talk about the economy and the collapse that's coming up. And if you go to the show notes at onicpodcast.com, we'll put up a picture of the chart that he keeps showing in the video. So you also watch this on YouTube. You can go watch the original interview. It's totally worth it, guys. You got to watch this. If you want to be safe, if you want to protect your money, you want to protect your family, you need to watch this interview with Robert, and then you need to go pick up his book, Fake, that just released. It's a textbook. It's big, but man, it will open your eyes. And he poured his heart and soul into it, and every book I've ever read of Robert's changes my life. So I highly, highly recommend you get Fake, F-A-K-E, just like how it sounds, Fake. Go to Amazon or wherever you need to pick up a copy of it. So if you go back, right, 1929, I believe, was the greatest depression. I mean, that depression literally sent this country into a tailspin for 20 plus years. It sent the world really into a massive economic collapse, but mostly the United States. It was like 20, 25 years to recover. Here, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, I'm kind of doing some visual hand motions. If you're listening on podcast, go to onicpodcast.com, see this chart. The chart looks like this, right? And then in 1929, you see a little teeny blip down. It's minuscule. When you look at the chart from 20 years before 1929 through today, it's a long time range. The blip that was the greatest depression this country has ever seen, that tailspinned our economy, destroyed lives, was teeny, all right? And then you hit the 2000s and you start to see like in 1980s, 1990s, like the economy starts to boom. It's going up and up. And then you start to hit like 2001 or 2002 or whenever the heck that dot-com bust happened. Guys, it is like the chart goes straight down. And when I say the 1929 dip was teeny beeny, this chart dip was huge. So if I was looking at my finger, like the 1929 was 1/5 of the top part of my finger. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Okay, it was like 3 millimeters. And then you look at the 2001 or whatever .com bust, it was like 3-4 inches on this chart. That was a collapse. Then the economy starts to boom again, and 2008 happens, and you have the real estate collapse, and it was again huge. It was like 3-inch drop versus this little teeny millimeter in 1929. Now, I know relatively speaking, right, because the economy is at a certain number, but guys, the other thing that's frightening is the last 2 economic collapses we've had. Robert Kiyosaki called them out exactly. He said it was going to happen. It happened. The first one was pretty big. The second one was bigger. And it's been about 8 to 9 years between each one. Guess where we were? So the last one was in 2008, 2009. Where are we right now? 2019. We're overdue. And that means the collapse that we will probably have very soon will be bigger than the one we had in 2008. It's starting to get a little frightening. And the reason behind this isn't just some statistical stuff. There's factual, understandable, economic, mathematical reasons why this is happening. And that's where fake money comes in, because we are creating fake money that is not supported by anything. Now, I forgot the president and I forgot the year. I wonder if we have it here in my notes. There was a particular time in the history when one of our presidents, it was like in 1980 or whatever, specifically detached the US dollar from gold. Detached it, meant there is no longer a correlation between these two. That was when this whole conspiracy began. And the reason they did that is because they wanted to start printing money like crazy. So the reason we are having this massive economic growth, it's fake. It's literally fake. It's money printing that's not protected by any asset. So at any point when we overprint, that's exactly why in countries that have collapses, it's like $1,000 or $2,000 to get a loaf of bread. The paper loses its value completely instantly. Do you know the only thing that holds its value through eternity, through generations and generations, is what Robert calls God's money? Gold, silver, God's money. No matter what collapse has happened anywhere, gold and silver has always retained its values. This is why he says you've got to have more gold, you've got to have more silver. So why do we work so hard to make more money, this paper asset that's going to die? It's going to die. It's valued by whatever's going on. We are fake valuing it. We're printing more, and there's no backing to it. Banks are loaning money. Actually, the banking system, we didn't talk about this in the interview, but I've researched this before. It's ridiculous. Did you know that banks can loan out X amount? So let's say a bank's assets holdings are $1 billion. You would think that that's what they've raised from people, right? They have $1 billion because $1 billion worth of money has been saved in their account from people. So they should be able to loan out $1 billion in like loans. No. There's actually a ratio. There's like 7 or 8x that they're allowed to do. Where did that come from? Fake money. So when all of this debt starts to completely collapse away, what's going to happen? The dollar's value is going to plummet. And it's not just the dollar, the euro, the pound, the rupee, everything's going to plummet. The only thing that will retain its value is God's money, right? Gold and silver. So pretty amazing stuff, eye-opening, where it was like, wow, I got to start really thinking about what I'm doing. And this is why stocks and mutual funds and all of that, Robert Kiyosaki is just not in on it, right? He says he likes to invest in things that physically have a attached value to it that's not driven by human error. It's driven by God, really, in this case, God's money, right? So then we go to like fake teachers. So that kind of explains fake assets also. And then you go to fake teachers, and this was really interesting. I couldn't believe this. I have it written here. Fake teachers. He said this, and I quote him: "The educational system was set up by Rockefeller, Mellons, J.P. Morgan, etc." And I stopped him in the interview. I said, "Wait, are you just like proverbially saying that? Like that's what you think?" Or he's like, "No, these are the people that literally built the educational system." When's the last time they taught you about gold in school? Yet all of these people, they get hard assets. They make sure their assets are protected against economic collapses and all this nonsense. But they're literally built the school system to build employees. They built the school system to protect the rich. And so when some people say there's a conspiracy out there to keep the rich rich, I kind of actually agree. I don't think it's in our tax code Like most people like to complain, they say, oh, the conservatives are giving the rich more tax breaks. Well, usually those tax breaks are coming because the rich are reinvesting into the government or reinvesting into the country. So that's not where I think the conspiracy is. I think the conspiracy goes way deeper than that. And I think it's in our school systems, which is why I built Lurn, which is why I love what we're doing, because we are teaching people how to be entrepreneurs, because I don't care for getting into $150,000 in debt in college just so I can come out and maybe earn 40. It's stupid. And it's dumb, and you can hear me getting upset right now. Like, seriously, whatever. Don't want to talk about that. Fake teachers, all right? I'll give you an example of a fake teacher for me. I remember one of my teachers in marketing and entrepreneurship. So I had a teacher in entrepreneurship who actually went on to become my mentor, who had every right to be a teacher for entrepreneurship because he had worked at a venture capital company. His family owns a big business, big ad agency, so that's different. But I also had another teacher who was in my school teaching me entrepreneurship. And I remember asking this teacher, have you ever run a business? And I swear the answer shocked me. The answer was no. So what the heck are you teaching entrepreneurship for? I could if I wanted to run a business. No, you couldn't. Freaking book theory is not even anywhere close to the reality of what it is like to run a business. So teachers, nothing against them, by the way, right? Of course, teachers are out there hustling and working hard, and they're great people, but they're in a system that's flawed. They're in a system that's actually cutting them off at the knees. So you've got to really start to figure out, where are you learning from and what are you learning? And that's why we built Lurn, so that you are learning skills. I don't care if you have a college degree. Who cares, man? You know how to write copy or buy traffic or build funnels. Man, no one can take away from you, wealth, except for in case of a big economic collapse. But hey, you make money, and if you can figure out how to turn that money into God's money, you're protecting yourself. Not all of it. Like, I'm not going to turn all of my money into that, but I am going to start putting my money, like I've been doing this already, but I've got my money in different economies, and I'm starting to protect it with different assets. And I always joke, like, if the world were to completely collapse, if there was like a nuclear holocaust, I don't really want to survive that anyway. So at that point, I don't give a crap how much money I have or don't have. I genuinely do not want to live under the ground for 15 years as I wait for nuclear fodder to disappear. So when I talk about like the end game and the end of the world, I'm not talking about that. Like, that's like different. But I'm talking about something that is very likely realistic and possible in our time, and that is done by our freaking government, because they keep inflating and creating nonsense and fakeness, which one day will catch up. Like the $22 trillion in debt the United States has, what do you think is going to happen? What, we'll be here 10 years, 20 years from now, it'll be 40, 50 trillion and everything will be hunky-dory? No. There is a point, right? What happened with the real estate boom? It collapsed. There was a point at which it couldn't sustain itself. It collapsed. And so that was what I took away from Robert's interview. I really think you should go back and listen to the whole thing. There's so many more golden nuggets in it. My biggest thing was like, okay, I've really got to figure out how I'm investing my money, how I'm protecting my money. And I got to remind myself and remember that everything I work every day hard for and that's sitting in my bank, it's fake. It's just a number. And it could go one way or the other just with the snap of a finger in the economy. And that sucks. So we got to find ways around it. All right. So there you go. Go back and listen to the episode. Go to anikpodcast.com for the show notes. Go to YouTube to watch the videos of these. Leave a comment below if you're on YouTube right now. I read them all. I respond to many of them. Click the thumbs up thingy. Click subscribe. Hit the bell thingy. Just do everything you can. Click all over the place. All right. Make sure you get all these videos and all these messages from The Fighting Entrepreneur. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Tell everybody. We've been growing. It's awesome. Every week we get bigger and bigger. I love it. Can't wait till we get to a point where we're getting 100,000 downloads per week. It's going to be epic. We can change the world together. As I always say, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. Fighting Entrepreneurs. Until next time, I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.